The attic smelled musty, a mix of old wood and forgotten memories. As I rummaged through the boxes, I stumbled upon a small, unassuming box. It was tucked away, almost as if it didn't want to be found. My heart raced as I opened it, revealing a stack of letters, yellowed with age and filled with my father's trembling handwriting. Each word dripped with emotion, stories of a man I thought I knew, the man who had been my hero. But as I read, the hero faded. The letters spoke of addiction, of battles fought in the shadows, of estrangement from family. I couldn't breathe. My father, a man I'd idolized, was wrapped in a shroud of pain I had never known. I felt a wave of betrayal wash over me, crashing against my carefully constructed memories. How could he hide this from us? How could my mother, Elizabeth, paint such a perfect picture of him? In that moment, the weight of the past crashed down on me. My father, the strong, steadfast figure, now appeared flawed, human. The realization left me shaken. I was a mother now, with two little ones who looked to me for guidance. What would I tell them? Life is perfect, or life is messy, filled with shadows? I wanted to scream, to cry, to make sense of it all. As I descended the stairs, the letters still clutched in my hands like a lifeline, I found Michael in the kitchen. He was chopping vegetables for dinner, humming a tune that felt worlds away from my turmoil. I wanted to tell him everything, to share my discovery, but the words got caught in my throat. I didn't want to burden him with my confusion. He had always been my rock, yet I felt adrift. "Everything okay, love?" he asked, glancing up. His eyes searched mine, filled with concern. I nodded, not trusting my voice. The truth was a heavy weight on my chest, and I wasn't ready to share it. Instead, I forced a smile, the kind that masked the storm inside. Later that night, as I tucked Lily and Ben into bed, their innocent faces reminded me of the importance of truth. I kissed their foreheads, whispering words of love and protection. But the letters haunted me, gnawing at my insides. How could I protect them from a legacy I had just uncovered? The next morning, I found myself at the breakfast table, the letters still echoing in my mind. Elizabeth joined us, her hair perfectly styled, her smile radiant. To the world, she was a beacon of strength. To me, she was the keeper of secrets. As I watched her interact with Michael and the kids, I felt a mix of warmth and resentment. How could she hide this side of my father? "Sarah, you're quiet today," she remarked, pouring herself a cup of tea. "Everything all right?" Her voice was sweet, but I could hear the undercurrent of concern. I hesitated, my heart racing. "Just thinking about Dad," I replied, testing the waters. Her smile faltered for just a moment, a flicker of something I couldn't quite identify. "He was a good man," she said, her tone defensive. "He worked hard for this family." "But what about the letters?" I blurted out, unable to contain myself. The words spilled from my lips like a dam breaking. "What about his struggles? Why didn't you tell us?" The air thickened with tension. Elizabeth's expression hardened. "The past is the past, Sarah. We don't need to dredge it up. But it's part of who we are. I need to understand," I pleaded, feeling the tears well up. She stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "You think I wanted this life? You think I wanted to raise my children with a man who had demons?" My heart sank. I hadn't meant to hurt her. I only sought truth, but here we were, two women divided by a chasm of unspoken pain. I felt like a child again, caught in a storm I couldn't navigate. "Mom, I just want to know," I whispered, my voice breaking. "I want to know the real story." But her face was set, a mask of defiance. "You don't understand, Sarah. Some things are better left buried." I watched her retreat, the distance between us growing wider. My heart felt heavy, burdened with the weight of unanswered questions. The family I had known, the one built on love and discipline, felt like a fragile facade. That evening, I confided in Michael. I found letters, Michael. Letters that changed everything I thought I knew about Dad. My voice trembled as I opened my heart to him. "I need to confront Mom. I need the truth." He listened intently, his expression a mix of empathy and concern. "You're brave, Sarah, but be careful. These revelations can shake a family to its core." I nodded, knowing he was right. But the urge to uncover the truth was like a fire inside me, igniting a need for clarity. I had to confront the shadows. As the days passed, The tension within our family grew thicker. Dinner conversations became strained, laughter replaced by silence. I felt like a stranger in my own home, my heart heavy with the burden of secrets. Then came the day of reckoning, the day I would finally confront Elizabeth. I felt a mix of dread and determination. I had to know the truth, even if it shattered the illusions we had built. Steeling myself, I took a deep breath, ready to unveil the shadows. The afternoon sun streamed through the kitchen window, casting long shadows that danced across the floor. I stood there, heart racing, the weight of the letters still heavy in my pocket. Today was the day. I could feel it in my bones. It was time to peel back the layers, to expose the raw truth that had been concealed for too long. As I prepared dinner, I could hear the children laughing in the living room, their joy a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling in my heart. I wanted to protect them, to shield them from the shadows of the past, but I knew that ignorance wouldn't be a shield. When Elizabeth walked in, her presence filled the room like the scent of fresh bread. She moved with a grace that had always captivated me, a practiced smile on her lips. But today, I sensed a tension beneath her surface, a silent acknowledgement that something was amiss. I took a deep breath, the moment hanging in the air like a fragile thread. "Mom, can we talk?" The words tumbled out, unplanned but necessary. Her smile faltered, eyes narrowing slightly as she set down a dish. "Of course, dear. What's on your mind?" I hesitated, words swirling in my mind. "It's about Dad, about the letters I found." Her expression shifted, a flicker of alarm crossing her features. "Sarah, I really don't think, but I need to know," I interrupted, the urgency of my plea echoing in the quiet kitchen. "You've kept so much from us. How can I understand our family if I don't know the truth?" The air thickened as she crossed her arms, a defensive posture I recognized all too well. "The past is painful. Some things are better left unsaid. But it's not just about you." My voice rose, a surge of frustration spilling over. "It's about us, about our family. I want to understand who he was, flaws and all." She drew in a sharp breath, her gaze hardening. "He was a good man, despite his struggles. He fought his battles quietly, out of love for us. But love also means honesty." I shot back, my pulse racing. "How can I teach my children about strength when we're built on a foundation of secrets?" Elizabeth's eyes blazed with a mix of anger and hurt. "You don't know what you're asking for, Sarah. You don't understand the weight of those secrets." "Then help me understand," I pleaded, desperate for her to see my side. "I'm not trying to attack you. I just want to connect with the truth, to heal." She shook her head, frustration spilling over. "You think you can just peel back the layers, and everything will be fine? That's not how it works. Do you think I wanted to raise you under 9? The shadow of his addiction? I wanted to protect you." "Protect me from what?" I asked, my voice softer now. "From knowing who he really was? From understanding the battles he fought?" "You're not protecting me. You're hiding." Elizabeth looked away, her expression wavering. For a moment, I could see the cracks in her facade. "It's easier this way," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Is it really?" I pressed gently, feeling the weight of my own vulnerability. "Because it doesn't feel easy to me. It feels like a wall between us." Silence hung heavy in the air. I could see the conflict in her eyes, the pain battling against her instincts to shield us all from hurt. I took a step closer, my heart racing. "Mom, I can handle the truth. I promise. I want to carry our family's story, even if it's messy." Her shoulders slumped, a wave of exhaustion washing over her. "You don't know what you're asking, Sarah. There's so much I've buried to keep our family together. So many nights spent wondering if I'd done the right thing. I can't imagine how hard that must have been," I said softly. "But don't you think it's time to share it? To let the light in?" With a heavy sigh, Elizabeth sank into a chair at the kitchen table, her hands trembling slightly. "You have no idea the shame and guilt I've carried. The nights I spent praying for his strength, the mornings I woke up hoping he'd be better." I sat down across from her, my heart aching for the woman who had always been my anchor. "Mom, we're not perfect. We never were. But that doesn't mean we can't heal, together." Her gaze met mine, tears glistening in her eyes. It was all so complicated, so chaotic. "Your father loved us fiercely, but addiction is a monster that doesn't let go easily. I wanted to shield you from that reality. "And I appreciate that," I said, reaching across the table to take her hand. "But I can't live in a world built on half-truths. I want to understand the struggles he faced, the sacrifices you made. We're stronger when we face the truth together." Elizabeth's breath hitched, a sob escaping her lips. "I didn't want you to see him as anything less than perfect. I wanted to protect you from the demons that haunted him." "Mom, he wasn't perfect, and that's okay," I said gently. "It's part of who we are. Our family is built on love, yes, but also on resilience and forgiveness. That's where our strength lies." As the dam broke, Elizabeth's tears flowed freely. "I just wanted to protect you." "I know," I whispered, squeezing her hand, "but we can't heal if we don't face the past. It's time to share our story, to embrace all of it." For the first time, I saw a flicker of hope in her eyes. "You're right," she admitted, a tremor in her voice. "Maybe it is time to start talking about it." The atmosphere shifted, a fragile connection forming between us. I felt the weight of the letters lift slightly, replaced by a sense of possibility. We didn't have all the answers yet, but we were finally on the path to understanding. As I glanced towards the living room, the laughter of Lily and Ben reached my ears, a reminder of why this journey mattered. Their innocent joy grounded me. Together we would work through the shadows, one conversation at a time. Together we would reclaim our family's story. And in that moment, I knew we would find our way back to the light. The afternoon sun began to dip lower, casting a warm golden glow over the kitchen. I could feel the heaviness of the moment pressing down on both of us. Elizabeth wiped her tears away with the back of her hand, the remnants of her facade crumbling. It was as if the walls around her heart were finally beginning to crack, letting in the light we so desperately needed. "I remember the nights he'd come home late," Elizabeth murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "He'd stumble through the door, and I'd pretend to be asleep. I thought if I didn't acknowledge him, it would somehow shield you and your brother from the reality of his battles." I leaned in closer, my heart aching for the sacrifices she had made. "You were doing your best, Mom, but we need to talk about it. We need to unearth those memories, painful as they may be." She nodded slowly, her eyes drifting towards the window. "I wanted to protect you from the chaos that swirled around him. Addiction isn't just a personal struggle, it infects the entire family. I thought if we stayed quiet, we could keep the peace. But peace built on silence is just a ticking time bomb," I replied gently. "It's not a real solution. I need you to understand that, for my sake and for the kids." Elizabeth let out a shaky breath, her shoulders drooping as if the weight of her unspoken secrets had finally become too much to bear. "I was just scared. Scared you'd see him as weak, as someone to be ashamed of. I didn't want you to carry that burden." "Mom, we all have burdens," I pressed, feeling a surge of determination. "It's how we deal with them that defines us. You taught us to be strong, to face our challenges head-on. Isn't that what faith is about? Leaning on each other?" She glanced at me, a flicker of admiration crossing her face. "You've grown so much. Sometimes I forget you're not that little girl anymore." "I'm still your daughter, just trying to make sense of our history," I replied, squeezing her hand again. "Let's start with something simple. Tell me about the first time you realized Dad was struggling." A deep breath escaped her lips, and she closed her eyes, as if summoning the courage to dive into the memories. It was a rainy evening. I'd made his favorite dinner, hoping it would lift his spirits, but he came home empty-handed, not a single flower to brighten the table. He was distant, lost in his own world. I thought it was just a rough day at work. I could see the scene play out in her mind, the way her brow furrowed as she recalled the moment. But then, the next morning, I found the empty bottles hidden beneath the sink. It was like a punch to the gut. I didn't know what to do. I felt helpless. "Did you ever confront him?" I asked, my heart racing at the thought of what she had endured. She shook her head, a deep sadness washing over her features. "I tried, but it was like talking to a ghost. He'd promised to change, say he was done with it, but then he'd slip back into that dark place. I didn't want to believe it, Sarah. I wanted to believe he was still the man I fell in love with." "Mom, he was still that man," I said softly. "Addiction doesn't erase love. It just complicates it." Elizabeth's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she nodded. "It's just so hard to reconcile the man I loved with the one who hurt us." I thought if I could keep everything under wraps, I could somehow protect our family from the truth. And that only kept you trapped, I replied, my voice steady. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. Let's face it together. Let's be brave enough to tell our story. A flicker of hope sparked in her eyes as she took a deep breath, as if the weight of the world was beginning to lift. You're right. It's time to stop living in the shadows. I smiled at her, a warmth spreading through me. And I promise, whatever comes next, we'll face it as a family, together. As we sat in the fading light, I felt a sense of unity growing between us, a bond strengthened by our willingness to confront the past. I glanced up to see Lily and Ben peeking around the corner, their curious faces brightening the room. Are you two talking about something fun? Lily asked, her eyes sparkling with innocence. I exchanged a knowing glance with Elizabeth, and we both chuckled softly. Just family stories, sweetheart, I replied. Stories that help us understand who we are. Can we hear them? Ben chimed in, bouncing on the balls of his feet. Maybe one day, I said, my heart full. But for now, we're just figuring things out. Elizabeth smiled, her expression softer now. Yes, sweethearts, we're working on our story, and it's going to be a good one. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a sense of peace enveloped us. We still had a long way to go, but the road ahead felt a little less daunting. We would navigate the waters of our family's history, embracing the messy parts, the love, the pain, and the healing. In that moment, I knew we would emerge stronger, bound by the truth we were finally willing to share. The shadows no longer held power over us. We were stepping into the light, ready to reclaim our family's story, one conversation at a time. The sun cast soft shadows across the kitchen as Elizabeth and I shared a moment of quiet understanding. The air felt charged, filled with unspoken words and lingering fears. I could see the flicker of resolve in her eyes, the kind that comes when one is ready to confront the past. Tell me more, I encouraged gently, wanting her to unravel the threads of her memories. What happened next after that rainy evening? She took a deep breath, her gaze drifting to the window as if searching for the right words in the fading light. It was a cycle, really. I'd think things were getting better, but then he'd slip again. Once, he promised me he'd stop drinking, and I believed him. I really did. But then we went to that wedding. Her voice trailed off, and I could see the pain etched on her face. He was so charming that night, laughing, dancing, the life of the party. But by the end of the evening, he was barely able to stand. I was mortified, Sarah. I knew everyone. I could see it, and all I could do was smile through the humiliation. A knot formed in my stomach. What did you do? I tried to keep it together. I took him home, helped him to bed, but I was so angry. Angry at him for not being the man I thought I married, and angry at myself for not being strong enough to stop it. I reached out, placing my hand over hers. You were strong, Mom. You carried us through so much. You didn't deserve to feel that alone. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. But it felt like my fault. I thought if I had just been better, he would have been better. That's the thing about addiction. It can twist your mind, make you feel responsible for someone else's choices. I nodded, feeling the weight of her words settle in my heart. It's not your fault. It was his battle, not yours to fight alone. I know that now, she said softly, a hint of gratitude in her voice. But back then, I was lost. I wanted to believe that love could conquer all, that my faith could save him. Faith is powerful, but it's not a cure-all, I said gently. It can guide us, but we have to face the truth too. What did you ultimately decide to do? Elizabeth paused, her fingers tracing the rim of her mug. I decided to stay, to keep fighting for our family. I thought that if I could just hold everything together, he would see the love around him and find his way back. But I was only delaying the inevitable. What do you mean? There came a point when it was too much. I realized that my love couldn't rescue him from his demons. I had to protect you and your brother. I had to make a choice. My heart raced as I leaned in, eager to hear more. And what choice did you make? I told him I couldn't live like this anymore. I set boundaries. It felt like I was tearing apart the fabric of our family. I was terrified, she admitted, her voice trembling. But I knew I had to be. Brave for you, for your brother, for myself. Her vulnerability washed over me like a comforting balm. You were brave, Mom. You may not have seen it then, but you were fighting for us. I hoped he'd understand, she continued, but instead, it drove him further away. He didn't want to see the truth, he wanted to escape it. And that's when things spiraled out of control? Yes. The more I tried to pull him back into the light, the more he retreated into the shadows. I felt powerless, watching the man I loved slip away. As she spoke, I felt the weight of her sorrow. You didn't fail him, Mom. You loved him fiercely, and that's what makes this story so complicated. She nodded, wiping a tear from her cheek. I just wish I could have saved him. Maybe saving him wasn't your job, I said, my voice steady. Maybe your job was to save yourself and your family, to create a safe space for us. Perhaps, she conceded, her eyes searching mine for understanding, but it still hurts. I wish I could take away the pain. Sometimes pain is part of the healing process, I reassured her. It shapes us, makes us stronger. You showed us resilience when you thought you were breaking. With a deep breath, Elizabeth leaned back in her chair. It's strange, isn't it? How the memories can haunt us, yet also provide clarity. I thought I buried my feelings, but they've been waiting to be acknowledged. Yes, and it's time to let them out. You've carried this for too long. I'm ready, she whispered, the determination in her voice igniting a spark in my heart. I want to reclaim our story. I want the kids to know the truth, to see that love isn't perfect but can still thrive. Just then, Lily and Ben burst into the kitchen, their laughter ringing like sweet chimes. What are you two talking about? Lily asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. Just some family stories, I replied, smiling. Can we hear them? Ben chimed in, bouncing on his toes. Not just yet, but soon, I assured them. We're still figuring things out. Elizabeth's smile returned, a soft glow illuminating her face. Yes, soon, very soon. As the children scampered away, the atmosphere shifted again, lighter now but still charged with emotion. Elizabeth and I exchanged a knowing glance, the understanding deepening between us. I feel like I'm finally starting to breathe again, she admitted, her voice steady. Me too, Mom. It's like we're shedding a part of ourselves that was holding us back. Together, she affirmed, a smile breaking across her face. Together, I echoed, a sense of hope blooming in my chest. We still had a long road ahead, but with each conversation, we were peeling back layers of hurt and shame, revealing the love that had always existed beneath. The shadows no longer felt so daunting, and the light ahead beckoned us forward. As I watched my mother, I felt a surge of gratitude. This was just the beginning of our journey, but I knew we would emerge stronger, united by the truth and our unwavering faith. Together, we would reclaim our family's narrative, transforming pain into power and silence into strength. In that moment, I understood. Healing wasn't a destination, it was a journey, and we were finally ready to take the first steps. The next morning felt different. The air buzzed with an unspoken tension, a blend of hope and apprehension. I found myself pacing the kitchen, my thoughts swirling like leaves in the autumn wind. The letters lay on the table, a reminder of the storm that had begun to brew within our family. Michael entered, his brow furrowed. You okay, love? He asked, pouring himself a cup of coffee. I could see the concern etched in his features, the way his eyes searched mine for answers I wasn't ready to give. I'm fine, I replied, though the tremor in my voice betrayed me. He didn't buy it. Fine doesn't usually involve pacing, he said gently, leaning against the counter. I sighed, the weight of the letters heavy on my heart. I found something yesterday, something about my dad. His expression shifted, a flicker of concern crossing his face. What do you mean? I hesitated, grappling with how much to reveal. It's complicated. He was battling his demons, addiction. It changes everything. Michael's eyes widened, understanding dawning upon him. That's a lot to process, Sarah. Have you talked to your mom about it? I nodded. We started, but I feel like there's so much more to uncover. The kettle whistled, breaking the tension. I poured the hot water over the tea bag, watching the swirling color seep into the water. It mirrored the chaos inside me. Maybe it's time to face the past then, he suggested, his voice steady. But you need to be careful. This isn't just about you. It's about her, too. I know, I replied, biting my lip. I don't want to hurt her. But the truth can't stay buried. It's suffocating us. Then you need to find a way to talk about it without causing more pain. he said, his eyes softening. Start small. You don't have to lay it all out in one go. I appreciated his wisdom, but the thought of unearthing buried secrets made my stomach churn. What if it tears us apart instead? It won't, if you approach it with love. You're not alone in this, he reassured me, taking my hand. We're a team, you and me. His words felt like a warm embrace, grounding me amidst the whirlwind of emotions, but the fear lingered, gnawing at the edges of my resolve. As the day unfolded, I felt the tension simmering beneath the surface. Elizabeth arrived shortly after breakfast, her smile bright and her demeanor cheerful, yet I could sense the undercurrents of unspoken words. "Morning," she chirped, her voice ringing with false cheer. "How are you both?" "Good," we replied in unison, but I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on us. "Just finished a lovely book," she continued, oblivious to the heaviness in the room. "It's about resilience and faith. Quite inspiring." I smiled weakly, my heart pounding. "That sounds lovely, Mum. Maybe we can talk about it later," she suggested, her eyes glinting with enthusiasm. "I'd love to share some thoughts." "Definitely," I forced out, but the words felt hollow. As the day wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling of impending confrontation. The letters lay heavy in my mind, and the unresolved tensions felt like a coiled spring ready to snap. After dinner, as we cleared the table, I caught Elizabeth's eye. "Can we talk?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Her smile faltered, uncertainty creeping into her features. "Of course, dear. What's on your mind?" The children were occupied, their laughter ringing through the hall as they played. We moved to the living room, the quiet space amplifying the tension between us. "I found something in the attic," I began, my pulse quickening. "It's about Dad." Elizabeth's face paled, panic flickering across her features. "What did you find?" "Letters. He wrote about his struggles, his addiction," I said, each word weighed down with the gravity of revelation. She inhaled sharply, her hands trembling. Why would you read those?" "Because I needed to understand. I needed to know the truth, Mum," I replied, my voice steadying. "We can't keep pretending everything was perfect." "But I thought we agreed to leave the past behind," she protested, her voice rising. "This isn't just the past, it's part of our story, part of who you are, who I am," I insisted, my heart racing. "I can't ignore it anymore." Elizabeth's eyes glistened with tears. "What do you want from me, Sarah? You think I wanted this? I fought so hard to protect you." "I don't blame you," I said, my voice softening, "but we can't heal without confronting the truth. I need you to open up." She shook her head, her breath hitching. "It's too painful. I thought I was shielding you from the hurt." "But it's already here, Mum," I cried, the frustration bubbling over. "It's haunting us. I'm scared it will affect Lily and Ben. I want to break the cycle." "Sometimes ignorance is a blessing," she whispered, her gaze dropping to the floor. "I thought I was doing the right thing. Maybe you were trying to protect us, but at what cost?" I pressed, my heart aching for the woman before me. "We need to face this together." Her shoulders slumped, the fight draining from her. "What if it tears us apart?" she asked, her voice trembling. "It won't," I assured her, reaching out to grasp her hand. "We're stronger than we realize. Love can withstand even the harshest truths." She met my gaze, her eyes swimming with unshed tears. "I just don't know if I'm ready." "Then let's take it one step at a time," I said gently. "We don't have to uncover everything at once. Just start with today." Elizabeth nodded, a deep breath shuddering through her. "All right, but I can't promise it will be easy." "Nothing worth having ever is," I replied, a flicker of hope igniting within me. As we sat in silence, the weight of the conversation settled around us, a palpable tension but also a glimmer of understanding. It wouldn't be easy, but we were finally willing to confront the shadows that had haunted our family for so long. Outside, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow through the window. It felt like a promise, a new day on the horizon, filled with the potential for healing and redemption. In that moment, I knew we were ready to face the storm together, hand in hand. The following days were a delicate dance, each step taken with caution. The air in our home felt charged, alive with unspoken words and fragile hope. I could see the shift in Elizabeth, her vibrant smile now tinged with vulnerability. Our conversations became laden with meaning, both of us tiptoeing around the truths we were learning to embrace. One evening, as I washed the dishes, I felt her presence behind me. "Can I help?" she asked, her voice soft, almost hesitant. "Sure," I replied, handing her a dishcloth. "The kids are in bed, so we have a moment." We worked side by side, the rhythmic clinking of plates breaking the silence. I stole glances at her, watching as she wiped down the surfaces, her movements slow, contemplative. "Remember when we used to do this together?" she said, a distant smile creeping onto her face. I nodded. "You always made it feel like an adventure. We'd sing and joke." Her laugh was bittersweet, a mix of nostalgia and longing. "Life was simpler, wasn't it?" "Maybe," I replied, pausing to gather my thoughts. "But it's okay if it's messy now. We're learning to navigate through the chaos." She turned to me, her expression serious. "I want to try, Sarah. I know there are things we need to address." "Thank you, Mum," I said, feeling warmth spread through my chest. "Taking that step means so much. It's about healing, for both of us." Elizabeth inhaled deeply, her shoulders relaxing ever so slightly. "I've been thinking about the letters, about your father's struggles." "Have you?" I asked, intrigued. Yes. I kept telling myself that sharing those parts of his life would only bring pain, but perhaps they're also part of his redemption, she admitted, her voice trembling with emotion. "He wasn't perfect, and I shielded you from that truth." "It's okay. I understand now that you were trying to protect me," I replied gently. "But pretending doesn't help us grow. It keeps us trapped. I was afraid of how it would affect you, how it would affect our family," she said, her eyes glistening. "But I see now that it might actually bring us closer." "Exactly," I encouraged, wiping my hands on a towel. "We can learn together. If we confront this, we can break the cycle." She nodded, a glimmer of determination replacing the uncertainty in her eyes. "I'll start by sharing what I know. It's time to be honest." "Let's take our time," I reassured her, sensing her apprehension. "We can explore this slowly, together." The next morning felt different. The sun poured through the kitchen window, illuminating the breakfast table. I prepared pancakes, the aroma filling the air with warmth. Michael and the kids joined us, laughter ringing through the space. "Smells amazing, Mum," Ben exclaimed, his eyes wide with excitement. I smiled, watching Lily bounce in her seat, eager to dig in. "Just wait until you taste them." As we ate, I felt a comforting sense of normalcy. Yet, beneath it, the undercurrents of our recent discussions lingered. I caught Elizabeth's eye across the table, and she gave me a small, reassuring smile. Once breakfast was done and the kids were occupied, I turned to her. "Are you ready?" She paused, the question hanging in the air. "Ready for what?" To talk. About Dad. I think it's time." Elizabeth's fingers tightened around her mug, a sign of her nerves. "All right, but I'm scared." "Me too," I admitted. "But we've got each other." We settled into the living room, the familiar space now charged with anticipation. The kids were playing in the other room, their laughter a comforting backdrop. "I don't want you to think ill of him," Elizabeth began, her voice trembling. "I won't." "I promise," I reassured her. "I just want to understand." She took a deep breath, her gaze drifting to the window. "Your father was a good man, but he struggled. He had demons he fought in silence. I didn't want you to carry that burden." "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked gently, my heart aching for her. "Because I thought if you didn't know, you could remember him as the hero he was," she said, her voice breaking. "I didn't want you to see him as flawed." "But we're all flawed, Mum," I replied, my voice steady. "It's part of being human. We can still love him despite his struggles." Tears slipped down her cheeks, and she didn't bother to wipe them away. "I thought I was protecting you, but I see now that I was only delaying the inevitable." "It's okay to admit it," I whispered, feeling the weight of our shared pain. "We're here now. We can face this together." She nodded, her breath shaky. "He fought hard, Sarah. There were nights I'd lay awake, terrified of what he might do. I wanted to believe he'd overcome, but it took a toll on our family." "I can't imagine how hard that was," I said, my heart aching for her. "But it's okay to feel those things. It's okay to grieve for what could have been." Elizabeth wiped her tears, her expression shifting from sorrow to resolve. Thank you for being here. For listening. I love you, Mum, I said, reaching for her hand. And I want to know all of you, the good and the bad. A small, hopeful smile flickered across her lips. Maybe this is the beginning of something beautiful. Yes, I replied, feeling a wave of warmth. It's a chance for healing for both of us. As we sat together, our hands entwined, a sense of peace washed over me. The shadows that had once loomed above us felt lighter, the path ahead clearer. Hope flickered like a candle, illuminating the darkness. It was a promise, a chance for redemption. We were ready to face the truth, to embrace the messiness of life with open hearts. Outside, the sun shone brightly, casting golden rays through the window. It felt like a blessing, a reminder of the beauty that can emerge from the deepest struggles. Together, we would forge a new legacy, one built on love, understanding, and the courage to confront the past. The days flowed into each other, punctuated by moments of honesty and vulnerability. Elizabeth and I found ourselves in a new rhythm, navigating the delicate waters of our shared past. It felt as if we were peeling back layers, revealing scars that had long been hidden. Each conversation was a step towards understanding, a chance to rebuild what had been lost. On a particularly sunny afternoon, I suggested we take a walk in the nearby park. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of blooming flowers. As we strolled, I could see Elizabeth visibly relax, her shoulders easing away from the tension they had carried for so long. The laughter of children playing nearby echoed around us, a reminder of the simple joys life could offer. "I used to bring your father here," she said, her voice almost a whisper. "We'd sit by the pond, dreaming of the future." I glanced at her, a mix of sadness and curiosity swirling within me. What was he like then? Her eyes sparkled with distant memories. He was full of hope, a dreamer. We talked about building a life together, having a family. "And then?" I prompted gently, knowing the path would not be easy. "And then the darkness crept in," she admitted, her expression clouding. "I didn't see it at first. I was too caught up in love." I reached for her hand, squeezing it tightly. "It's okay to have loved him. It doesn't erase the reality of his struggles." She nodded, a tear escaping down her cheek. "I thought shielding you from his past would keep you safe, but I see now it only built a wall between us." "Let's break it down together," I suggested, my heart swelling with hope. "We can face this as a family." As we continued our walk, the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm glow around us. Elizabeth breathed in deeply, her eyes reflecting a newfound determination. "You're right. It's time to let go of the fear." The following week, we arranged a family dinner. Michael helped me prepare, chopping vegetables with an enthusiasm that radiated warmth. The kids were buzzing with excitement, their laughter mingling with the aroma of roasting chicken. "Why are we having a special dinner?" Ben asked, his eyes wide with curiosity. I exchanged a glance with Michael, who nodded encouragingly. "We want to talk about family," I said, keeping my tone light yet sincere. After dinner, we gathered in the living room, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. Elizabeth sat beside me, her hand resting on my knee, a silent promise of support. "Thank you all for being here," I began, my voice steady. "We want to share some important things about our family history." The kids looked between us, confusion flickering in their eyes. Michael shifted closer to me, ready to stand beside me through the emotional tide. "Your granddad wasn't always the man you remember," I continued, glancing at Elizabeth. "He faced struggles that affected our family deeply." Elizabeth took a deep breath, her eyes glistening. "I wanted to shield you from his pain, but I see now that understanding his journey is essential for our healing." Lily, sensing the gravity of the moment, piped up, "But he loved us, right?" "Yes, sweetheart," I replied, my heart aching for her innocence. "He loved us, but he also battled his own demons. That's part of who he was." Ben frowned, his young mind trying to grasp the complexities of adult life. "Does that mean he wasn't a hero?" "Heroes can be flawed," Michael interjected gently. "What matters is how we learn from their struggles." Elizabeth nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "Your granddad fought hard. He loved fiercely, but he struggled with things he couldn't always control." The room fell silent, the weight of our words settling in. I could see the wheels turning in their minds, the beginnings of understanding brewing. "Does this mean we can still love him?" Lily asked, her voice soft. "Absolutely. We can love him and acknowledge his struggles," I replied, my heart swelling with pride. "It doesn't lessen our love. Maybe it even makes it stronger," Elizabeth added, her voice gaining strength. "We're here to learn from the past, to break the cycle of silence." The kids exchanged glances, their faces reflecting a mixture of emotions. I could see their young minds processing the complexity of family, love, and redemption. "Can we still tell stories about him?" Ben asked, a hint of hope in his voice. "Of course," I reassured him. "We'll remember the good and the bad, because that's what makes us real. Stories connect us." In that moment, a new understanding settled among us. This wasn't just about mourning the past, it was about embracing our legacy as a family. We would weave our own stories into the fabric of our history, transforming pain into healing. The rest of the evening unfolded with laughter and love. We shared stories of my father, the hero, and the flawed man, allowing the children to see the full picture. As I tucked Lily and Ben into bed that night, their faces aglow with the warmth of our discussions, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. We were no longer weighed down by secrets. Instead, we were building a foundation of truth, ready to face the future together. Elizabeth joined me in the hallway, a look of gratitude in her eyes. "Thank you for guiding us through that," she said, her voice steady. "We did it. Together," I replied, feeling the bond between us strengthen. "We're a family, and we'll keep growing." As we settled down for the night, the air felt lighter, filled with hope. Outside, the stars twinkled brightly, each one a reminder of the beauty that can emerge from darkness. Together, we were forging a path toward healing, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. The following days were a whirlwind of emotions, each moment laced with the bittersweet taste of discovery. The heaviness of our family history lingered, yet it breathed life into our conversations. Elizabeth and I leaned into this new chapter, our bond deepening with every shared story, every tear shed. We found ourselves meeting for coffee more often, the small cafe down the street becoming our sanctuary. It was a place filled with the aroma of freshly baked pastries and the soft hum of conversations, a backdrop for our unfolding narrative. One afternoon, as we sat in our usual corner, Elizabeth's fingers traced the rim of her mug, a sign that she was lost in thought. "Do you think your father knew how much he hurt us?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I wish I knew," I replied, the question hanging heavily between us. He must have been fighting his own battles. "But I can't help but feel angry sometimes. Why didn't he seek help?" Elizabeth sighed, her eyes reflecting a mixture of regret and understanding. "It's hard to admit when you need help, especially for someone like him. The stigma around addiction can be suffocating." I nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "We need to break that cycle, don't we? We have to show the kids it's okay to ask for help." "Absolutely," she said, her voice firm. "It's about giving them the tools to navigate their own lives, to face their shadows head-on." The conversation flowed like the coffee in our cups, rich and warming. We spoke of forgiveness, not just for my father but for ourselves, too. It was liberating, this exploration of the past. Elizabeth shared stories of her own childhood struggles, moments that shaped her resilience. "Sometimes I think my strength comes from those hardships," she said, her eyes shining. "I want to pass that down to you and your children. It's about understanding that life isn't perfect, but we can still find joy amidst the chaos." "Exactly," I replied, feeling a surge of hope. "Our imperfections can be our greatest teachers. We just have to be willing to learn." As the weeks turned into months, we began to see the impact of our honesty on the children. Lily and Ben absorbed our discussions like sponges, their understanding of family deepening. One evening, while playing a board game, Ben paused and looked up, a serious expression on his face. "Can we talk about Granddad again?" he asked, his small voice cutting through the laughter. Elizabeth and I exchanged glances, surprise mingling with pride. "Of course, love," I said, leaning in closer. "What did he do when he was sad?" Ben asked, his innocent curiosity shining through. "That's a good question," I replied, choosing my words carefully. "Sometimes he struggled with feelings that made him sad. He didn't always know how to cope with them." Lily chimed in, her brow furrowed. Like when you feel grumpy but you don't know why? Exactly, I said, grateful for her insight. But it's important to talk about those feelings. If you're feeling sad, you can always come to us. We'll help you find a way through it. Elizabeth nodded, adding, and it's okay to feel angry or confused. Those emotions are part of being human. It's how we deal with them that matters. The conversation flowed naturally, and I could see the children processing the depth of our family's legacy. They were beginning to understand that love and pain could coexist, that our experiences shaped who we were, but did not define us entirely. One sunny Saturday, we decided to visit a local charity that supported families facing addiction. The kids were excited to help, their youthful energy a stark contrast to the seriousness of the cause. As we rolled up our sleeves to sort donations, I felt a sense of purpose swell within me. This is important work, I told the kids, watching their faces light up as they handed out clothes and essentials to those in need. We're showing kindness to others who might be struggling, just like Granddad did. Did Granddad help people? Lily asked, her brow furrowed as she concentrated on folding a pile of clothes. In his own way, yes, Elizabeth said, her voice soft. He had a big heart. He just got lost along the way. Ben, who was listening intently, piped up. We can help them find their way back. His enthusiasm was infectious. Yes, we can be their light, Lily added, swinging her arms wide as if to embrace the world. I beamed at them, heart swelling with pride. This was the legacy we were building, a legacy of love, compassion, and understanding. After a long day of volunteering, we returned home, tired but fulfilled. As I tucked the kids into bed that night, their faces aglow with the warmth of our shared experiences, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The shadows of the past no longer loomed over us. Instead, they had become stepping stones towards a brighter future. Elizabeth joined me in the hallway, her expression reflecting a sense of accomplishment. We did something good today, she said, her voice steady. We did it together, I replied, feeling the bond between us strengthen. We're not just healing ourselves, we're creating a ripple effect for others as well. As we settled down for the night, the stars outside twinkled brightly, each one a reminder of the beauty that can emerge from darkness. Together, we were forging a path toward healing, ready to den round, embrace whatever lay ahead. In the days that followed, our family continued to evolve. We began to share more stories of resilience, not just from my father's past, but from our own lives. Each tale was a thread woven into the tapestry of our family history, creating a rich narrative filled with strength and hope. Our dining table became a place of open dialogue. Over meals, we would discuss our feelings, our victories, and our struggles. It was a safe space, a sanctuary where no topic was off limits. We found ourselves laughing more, the sound echoing through our home like music, a testament to our newfound freedom. As the weeks went by, I realized that we were no longer defined by the shadows of the past. Instead, we were carving out our own identity, one built on honesty, love, and the courage to face our fears. We were learning to embrace the complexities of life and finding strength in our shared journey. Together, we were discovering the power of vulnerability, the beauty of redemption. We were a family flawed, imperfect, yet undeniably strong. And as we stepped into the future, I knew we would face it together, hand in hand, heart to heart. The days turned into weeks, and the rhythm of our family life began to shift. It wasn't just the conversations at the dining table that had changed, it was the very essence of our interactions. A new light flickered in our home, illuminating corners that had long been cloaked in shadow. One bright Saturday morning, I found myself in the kitchen, the smell of fresh coffee mingling with the sound of laughter filtering through from the garden. Michael was helping the kids build a makeshift fort out of blankets and garden chairs. I paused, taking in the scene, feeling a swell of gratitude. This was what happiness looked like, simple, unadulterated joy. "Can I help?" I called out, stepping outside. Lily's eyes sparkled as she clutched a handful of cushions, ready to add to their creation. "Of course, Mum. We need the roof to be extra fluffy," she declared, her enthusiasm infectious. As I knelt beside them, weaving blankets like a tapestry of dreams, I felt the weight of the past lift, replaced by the possibilities of the future. We were constructing something beautiful together, a fortress of love, fortified with laughter and resilience. That evening, after a day filled with adventure, we gathered on the living room floor, surrounded by cushions and blankets, sharing stories of our newly forged family legacy. Ben, with his wide, innocent eyes, spoke up. "Can we talk about how we can help more people like Granddad?" His question hung in the air, a testament to the impact our recent experiences had made. "Absolutely," I replied. "We can volunteer more, maybe even organize a charity event." "Like a fun fair," Lily suggested, bouncing with excitement. "We could have games and food and music." Michael chuckled, his eyes twinkling. "That sounds brilliant. We can get the community involved too." Ideas flowed around the room, each suggestion building upon the last. It was a spark, a flame igniting our hearts and minds. In that moment, I realized we were not just healing from our past, we were stepping into our purpose, ready to make a difference. As the weeks turned into months, our plans took shape. We organized a charity fair at the local park, inviting families to join in the spirit of giving. The children worked tirelessly, painting signs and crafting decorations, their excitement palpable. I watched them, my heart swelling with pride. They were learning the power of community, the beauty of helping others, and the joy of coming together for a common cause. The day of the fair arrived, bright and sunny, the air alive with laughter and music. Stalls filled the park, each one brimming with handmade goods and delicious treats. Families flocked to our corner, drawn by the spirit of unity and compassion. I stood with Elizabeth, both of us wearing matching aprons, serving slices of homemade cake. "This is incredible," she said, her eyes shining. "Look at how many people have come together." "Yes," I replied, feeling a sense of fulfillment wash over me. It's proof that love can be a powerful force for change. As the fair unfolded, I saw our children engage with others, their youthful energy contagious. They ran from stall to stall, their laughter ringing out like music. It was a day of connection, of shared stories, and of healing. At one point, Ben approached me, a shy smile on his face. "Mom, I wanted to give my allowance to help," he said, holding out a crumpled note. My heart swelled. "That's so generous, sweetheart, but what if we save it for something special?" He nodded, his eyes bright with understanding. "I just want to help people." "Then help people we will," I said, pulling him into a hug. In that embrace, I felt the lessons of the past intertwine with the hope of the future. We were breaking cycles, creating a new narrative, one filled with compassion and understanding. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, we gathered for a moment of gratitude. Michael took the lead, his voice steady as he held the children close. "We've made a difference today, not just for ourselves but for others too. Let's remember that our actions can light the way for those who are lost." The children nodded, their faces glowing with pride, and I realized we were becoming a family defined not by our struggles but by our victories. In the following weeks, the fair became an annual tradition. Each year, we gathered to celebrate the resilience of our community and to honor the journey we had taken together. It was a reminder that while shadows may linger, they could never extinguish the light of love and hope. As I watched our children flourish, I felt a profound sense of peace. They were growing up in a home filled with honesty, kindness, and the strength to face life's challenges head-on. Each day was a testament to our shared journey, a continuous narrative of healing and redemption. One evening, as I tucked Lily into bed, she looked up at me with her bright eyes. "Mom, do you think Granddad would be proud of us?" I paused, considering her question. "I believe he would, love. We're changing the story, creating a legacy built on love and understanding. Like the heroes in the stories?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. "Exactly," I said, kissing her forehead. "Real heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they just show kindness and help others find their way." As I left her room, I felt a surge of gratitude for every lesson learned and every victory won. We were a family united, resilient, and unstoppable. Together, we would continue to navigate the complexities of life, hand in hand, heart to heart, embracing every moment as an opportunity for growth and love. In the distance, the stars twinkled brightly, a reminder that even in darkness, there is always a glimmer of hope. And as I looked up, I knew our family was ready to face whatever lay ahead, grounded in faith, love, and a commitment to each other. The The sun began to soften, casting a warm glow across our kitchen as I prepared dinner. The laughter of my children floated through the open window, a melody that soothed my heart. It was moments like these that reminded me of the beauty and simplicity, the everyday treasures that stitched our lives together. Michael walked in, a playful smile on his face. "What's cooking, love? Something smells amazing." "Just a little something special," I replied, stirring the simmering pot. "But I think tonight we might need a little more than just dinner to celebrate." His eyes sparked with curiosity. "Oh? What's the occasion?" "Just a reminder of how far we've come," I said, feeling the weight of my words. "I want us to share something from our hearts tonight." As we gathered around the table, the atmosphere shifted. I could sense the anticipation, a collective breath before diving into deeper waters. The kids, their faces bright with eagerness, waited for the cue. "Before we dig in, let's take a moment to reflect," I suggested, looking from Michael to the children. "What's something we're grateful for today?" Lily was quick to respond. "I'm thankful for my friends and the fun we had at the park." Ben chimed in. "I'm grateful for our family and our charity fair. Helping people made me feel happy." Michael nodded, his expression warm and proud. "I'm grateful for all of you. We're building something special together, aren't we?" "Yes, we are," I said, feeling the tears prick at the corners of my eyes. "I'm grateful for the chance to create a new legacy." As we shared our thoughts, I felt a surge of connection. We weren't just recounting our day, we were weaving a tapestry of gratitude, forgiveness, and hope. Each thread was a testament to our growth, our healing. After dinner, I suggested we share stories of our parents. "I think it's important for us to understand where we came from," I said, looking at my children. "What shaped our families before us?" Michael took a deep breath. "My dad was a hard-working man. He had his struggles, but he taught me the value of resilience. I admired his strength." Lily tilted her head, curious. "What struggles did he have?" He paused, reflecting. "He battled with his own demons, much like my father before him, but he always tried to do right by us." I felt the air shift, a weight lingering over us. "My dad had his own struggles too," I said quietly, recalling the letters. "He fought his battles behind closed doors. It's not easy to face the truth, but it's necessary for healing." Ben looked up at me, and confusion in his eyes. "But why didn't he just tell you?" "Sometimes," I began, my voice steady, "people are afraid of judgment. They fear being seen as weak, but the truth is, vulnerability can lead to strength." The conversation deepened, layers peeling back like the pages of a book. We spoke of forgiveness, of grace, and the power of redemption. Each word was a stepping stone, guiding us through the complexities of our family history. That night, as I tucked the children into bed, I felt a sense of purpose. "Remember, my loves," I whispered, "we are not defined by our past. We are shaped by how we respond to it. We have the power to rise above. Will we always be okay?" Lily asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Always," I assured her, brushing her hair back. "As long as we have each other and stay true to our values, we will be okay." In the darkness, I felt the weight of my father's legacy. The letters had opened my eyes to the truth, but they also sparked a determination to break the cycle. I wanted my children to carry forward a spirit of love and resilience, free from the shadows of addiction that had loomed over our family. As the days turned into weeks, I began to notice a shift within myself. I found solace in prayer, seeking guidance and strength in my faith. Each morning, I would sit quietly, allowing the stillness of the dawn to fill my heart. I prayed for wisdom and clarity, asking for the courage to lead my family with grace. One afternoon, as I organized the charity fair preparations, I caught a glimpse of Elizabeth. She was speaking with a neighbor, her laughter bright against the backdrop of the bustling preparations. I felt a pang of gratitude for her presence. She had always been a steady pillar of strength, and I admired her ability to light up any room. Later, as we worked side by side, I decided to broach the subject that had weighed heavily on my heart. "Elizabeth," I began cautiously, "can we talk about Dad? I found those letters." Her smile faded, replaced by a look of understanding. "I know," she said gently. "I've had my own struggles with his past. It's hard to reconcile the man we loved with the person he became. I feel like I'm carrying a weight," I admitted, my voice trembling. "I want to break the cycle for my children." "I understand, Mary," she replied, her tone compassionate. We can't rewrite history, but we can choose how we move forward. Let's do it together. In that moment, I felt a surge of hope. We were united in our desire for redemption, committed to creating a legacy rooted in truth and love. As the charity fair approached, I witnessed our community come alive. Neighbors rallied together, offering their support and assistance. The energy was infectious, a testament to the power of unity. On the day of the fair, the park transformed into a vibrant hub of laughter and joy. I watched as the children darted from stall to stall, their smiles radiating warmth. It was a celebration of connection, of healing, and of hope. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, we gathered for a moment of gratitude. I felt the presence of my father in the air, a reminder that shadows could not extinguish the light of love. Let's remember, Michael said, his voice steady, that our actions can change lives. Together, we can create a brighter future for ourselves and those around us. In that moment, I realized we were not just surviving, we were thriving. With each act of kindness, we were rewriting our family narrative. We were embracing our past while forging a path of hope and resilience. And as I looked at my children, I knew we were moving forward together, grounded in faith, love, and an unwavering commitment to one another. The journey ahead was still unwritten, but I felt a sense of peace wash over me. We would face whatever came our way, hand in hand, heart to heart, forever committed to our shared legacy. The charity fair buzzed with life, laughter echoing through the park. Families gathered, sharing stories, their joy palpable. I moved through the crowd, watching my children play. They were free, unburdened by the shadows that had once loomed over our family. Yet, even amidst this celebration, the weight of my father's letters lingered. I felt a knot tightening in my chest, an unsettling reminder of the past. As the sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow, I spotted Elizabeth across the field. She was engaged in conversation, her laughter spilling into the air like music. I admired her ease, her ability to connect with everyone around her. But beneath that bright exterior was a woman grappling with her own pain. I knew I needed to confront the truth we had both avoided for too long. "Elizabeth!" I called, excitement mingling with apprehension as I approached. "Can we take a moment? I need to talk to you." She nodded, her expression shifting to one of concern. We stepped away from the festivities, the sounds of joy fading into a gentle hum. I took a deep breath, wrestling with the emotions swirling within me. "I found Dad's letters, and it's all been weighing on me. I feel lost sometimes." Her eyes softened. "I understand. It's hard to reconcile the man we loved with the truth we've uncovered, but we can't let it define us." "I want to break the cycle," I confessed, my voice barely above a whisper. "But I fear that by confronting it, I'm opening old wounds." "Sometimes wounds need to be opened to heal properly," she replied, her tone steady and reassuring. "You're not alone in this. We can face it together." Just then, a commotion erupted nearby. I turned to see Ben standing frozen, his face pale, staring at something in the grass. I rushed over, my heart racing. "Ben? What is it?" He pointed, trembling. "There's a bottle, Mum. It looks like one of those from the letters." My heart dropped. I knelt beside him, examining the bottle. It was dark, its label worn and faded. Memories surged, thoughts of my father's struggles flooding my mind. This was not just a reminder of his past, it was a stark confrontation with the very addiction he'd battled. Elizabeth joined us, her expression shifting to one of understanding. "It's okay, Ben," she said softly. "You're safe. We're all here together." But the weight of that moment hung heavy in the air. I could feel the fear creeping in, the worry that the legacy of addiction was not just a shadow but a tangible reality. "We need to talk about this," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. With children gathered around, we couldn't shy away from the conversation any longer. I took a deep breath, feeling the strength of Elizabeth beside me. "Listen, everyone. We found something that reminds us of our past. It's important for us to understand that while our family has had its struggles, we have the power to make different choices." Lily looked up at me, confusion etched on her face. "But why did Grandpa have that? Was he sick?" "Addiction is a disease, sweetheart," I explained gently. "It's something that can happen to anyone, but we have a choice to stay strong and make the right decisions." Ben's eyes widened. Will that ever happen to us? No, I assured him, kneeling down to meet their gaze. As long as we talk openly about our feelings and support each other, we can break the cycle. We can choose love over fear. I glanced at Elizabeth, who nodded in agreement. We're here for each other, she added, and we can help others too. In that moment, I saw the light of understanding flicker in my children's eyes. They weren't just absorbing words, they were beginning to grasp the power of our family's story. This was a moment of redemption, a big chance to rewrite our legacy. As the fair continued, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. We weren't just surviving, we were thriving, learning, and growing together. The bottle that had once represented shame now stood as a symbol of courage and change. We would face our history head-on, embracing the lessons while moving forward with faith. As the sky darkened and the stars began to twinkle above us, I gathered my family close. Let's remember this day, I said, my voice steady and filled with emotion. We're not defined by our past, but by how we choose to respond to it. Together, we can create a brighter future. The children nodded, their faces alight with understanding. In that moment, we were not just family, we were a united front against the shadows of our history. The journey ahead would not be easy, but we would face it hand in hand, heart to heart. As I looked at my children, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. The past had shaped us, but it would not dictate our future. Together, we would rewrite our story, one filled with love, resilience, and hope. The fair buzzed with laughter, but my heart felt heavy. I watched my children, their joy unmistakable, and yet I knew shadows lingered just beneath the surface. Ben still stood frozen, staring at the bottle, and the weight of the moment pressed down on me. I wanted to protect them, to shield them from the darkness that had once enveloped our family, but I also knew that the truth must be faced. Let's step away for a moment, I said, guiding Ben and Lily to a quieter corner. Elizabeth followed, her expression serious yet supportive. What we've found is important. It's a reminder of our family's past, and we need to talk about it. It's time we understood what it means. Will we be okay? Ben asked, his voice barely above a whisper. His innocence cut through me like a knife. We will be, I assured him, kneeling so I was eye level. But it's crucial. We communicate. Addiction isn't just about the person who struggles, it affects everyone around them. It's a disease, and it can happen to anyone, even those we love. Lily clutched my hand. But why did Grandpa have that bottle? Was he trying to hurt us? No, I replied softly. He wasn't trying to hurt us. He was fighting a battle, one that many face but don't talk about. He loved us, but he was lost in his struggles. We can learn from his story, and we can choose to be different. We can choose to be strong. Like superheroes? Ben's eyes flickered with a glimmer of hope. Exactly, I chuckled, relieved to see his spirit returning. Superheroes face challenges. They don't run from them. They learn, grow, and become better. And that's what we're doing. We're strong together, Elizabeth chimed in, her voice steady. We've all faced challenges, and it's okay to feel confused or scared. What matters is how we support one another. We're a team. As the sounds of the fair faded, I felt the love between us grow. This was our moment to turn the tide. The conversation had begun. I stood up, glancing at the bottle again, and then back at my children. This is not just about our past, it's about our future. We have the power to make choices that lift us, to choose love over fear. Lily nodded, her brows furrowed in thought. Can we help others too? Yes, we can, I replied, my heart swelling with pride. By sharing our story, we can help others who might feel alone. We become the light in someone else's darkness. The warmth of that idea filled me up. In the midst of pain, we could find purpose. The legacy we were crafting wasn't just about overcoming addiction. It was about building a community that thrived on hope and resilience. Suddenly, Ben broke the silence. Can we have a lemonade? We should celebrate being brave. His innocence sparked laughter from us all, cutting through the tension. Absolutely, I said, ruffling his hair. Let's get some lemonade. We walked back towards the festivities, hand in hand. The vibrant colors of the fair enveloped us, the laughter of families weaving through the night air. I spotted Michael, who waved us over with a smile. He had been chatting with some friends, but the moment he saw us, his face lit up. "Hey, what's the good news?" he said, kneeling to meet the kids. "We're superheroes," Ben declared proudly, his arms outstretched as if to demonstrate his newfound strength. "Superheroes, eh?" Michael chuckled, raising an eyebrow. "I could use a few of those around here. What's your superpower?" Lily chimed in. "We're learning about Grandpa and how to be brave. We can help others, just like he tried to." Michael's expression shifted from playful to serious. "That's a powerful lesson. You know, your grandpa loved you more than anything. He worked hard to fight his battles, even if he stumbled. You're taking the first steps to make sure you don't have to fight alone, just like he did." I felt a swell of pride as I watched my children absorb his words. Michael understood the weight of the moment, and he was guiding them gently. In that instant, I felt a shift, as if the shadows that once loomed over us had begun to recede. We were not just confronting our past, we were actively forging a new path. The laughter and joy of the fair wrapped around us like a warm embrace, and I realized that healing was possible. "Let's grab those lemonades," I suggested, steering us toward the stand, "and then we can share our story with everyone." As we approached the stand, I felt a sense of urgency to connect. The air was filled with the sweet scent of sugar and citrus, and I could see families enjoying their time together. It felt like the perfect opportunity to plant seeds of hope. After ordering, I turned to Michael. "What if we host a gathering? Invite people to share their stories?" His eyes lit up. "That's a brilliant idea. We could create a space where families can discuss their challenges openly. It would be a chance for healing in our community." Lily and Ben's faces illuminated with excitement. "We can help organize it," they exclaimed, bouncing on their feet. "Yes, you can," I laughed, feeling the warmth of their enthusiasm. "It will be our family project about love, support, and understanding. We can invite everyone here." I felt a rush of hope. This wasn't just about us. It was about building a community of resilience. As we sipped our lemonades, I glanced at Elizabeth, who was watching us with a proud smile. Her eyes sparkled with the same realization. "We can make a difference," I said, raising my glass. "To family, love, and breaking the cycle. To family," everyone echoed, clinking their cups together. The joy in the air was infectious, and I felt a sense of purpose wash over me. We were not just rewriting our own story, but paving the way for others. The shadows of the past would not define us. We were a family united in love, ready to face the future with open hearts and unwavering strength. As we moved back into the fair, laughter echoed around us. I felt lighter, more hopeful. The journey ahead was still unwritten, but I knew we would embrace every moment, hand in hand, heart to heart. Together, we would forge a legacy rooted in love, resilience, and the courage to confront the past. The fair buzzed with life as we wandered through the stalls, vibrant lights twinkling like stars in the night sky. I felt a sense of belonging, a warmth that wrapped around us like a familiar blanket. Each laugh from my children reminded me of the importance of this moment, the joy of simply being together. As we approached the carousel, I watched Lily's eyes widen with excitement. "Can we ride that one?" She pointed, her finger trembling. With eagerness, I nodded, sharing in her thrill. The carousel spun round and round, a whirl of color and laughter, each horse galloping through the air with a sense of freedom. "Hold on tight!" I called out as we climbed aboard, the music filling the air with a whimsical tune. It felt like a dance, each rotation a reminder of our shared journey. I looked over at Michael, who was capturing this moment on his phone. The joy on his face reflected my own, a silent promise that we were moving forward together, step by step. After the ride, we made our way to a small stage where a local band played soft, uplifting music. Families gathered, swaying to the rhythm, and I felt a pull to join them. "Come on, everyone, let's dance!" I encouraged, leading the way. Lily and Ben giggled as they joined in, their little bodies bouncing to the beat. Michael took my hand, and together we twirled, the world around us fading into a blur of sound and laughter. In that moment, I felt the weight of the letters lift from my shoulders. The past no longer held power over us. It was simply a chapter in our story. As the song came to an end, I caught a glimpse of Elizabeth standing at the edge of the crowd. Her smile was radiant, yet there was a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. I approached her, my heart pounding. "Would you like to join us?" I asked, extending my hand. Her hesitation was palpable, but then she took a deep breath and stepped forward. "I'd love to," she said softly, taking my hand. We joined the kids, and for the first time, I felt a connection that transcended the past. We danced, not just as mother and daughter, but as allies in this journey of healing. The music swelled, and I saw families around us sharing moments of joy, laughter, and forgiveness. Each face told a story, a testament to resilience. I realized we weren't alone. We were part of something bigger, a community that thrived on love and support. When the event began to wind down, I gathered my family close. "Let's make this a monthly thing," I suggested, my heart racing with excitement. A chance for everyone to come together, share their stories, and grow stronger. Michael nodded, enthusiasm shining in his eyes. "Absolutely. We can create a safe space for families," Lily chimed in. "And we can make lemonade," Ben added. "I want to tell my superhero story too." Their enthusiasm was infectious. I could see the spark of purpose igniting within them, a flame that would help others find their way through the darkness. As we made our way home, the lights of the fair twinkling behind us, I felt a deep sense of gratitude wash over me. We had taken the first crucial steps toward healing, not only for ourselves but for others who might be struggling in silence. When we arrived home, I gathered everyone in the living room. "This is just the beginning," I said, looking at each of their faces. "We're going to be a voice for those who feel alone. Together, we'll help others find their strength." Elizabeth's eyes glistened with tears. "I'm proud of you," she said, her voice steady, "for facing the truth and for wanting to help others." I felt the warmth of acceptance wrap around me, and I reached for her hand. "We're family. We'll face this together." That evening, as the children drifted off to sleep, I took a moment to reflect on the journey that lay ahead. The letters had revealed pain, but they had also opened the door to redemption and purpose. We weren't just rewriting our story, we were crafting a legacy of hope and strength. I knelt beside Lily and Ben, brushing their hair back from their foreheads, and whispered a prayer of gratitude. I prayed for guidance, not just for our family, but for all those who would join us on this journey. In the quiet of the night, I felt a shift within me. The shadows of the past no longer loomed. They had transformed into stepping stones, guiding us toward a brighter future. We had faced the truth and emerged stronger. As I settled into bed beside Michael, I intertwined my fingers with his. We looked at each other, understanding that this was more than just a challenge. It was a chance to embrace life fully, messy, beautiful, and real. "Together," I whispered, and he nodded, a smile playing on his lips. Together we would build a community grounded in love and resilience. Together we would face whatever storms came our way. And together we would shine a light in the darkness, creating a legacy of hope that would echo through generations. The journey was just beginning, but I knew we were ready. With faith guiding us, we would pull through. We would never give up.